Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Deadbeats. I'm Will.
I'm Jason.
What the fuck?
Oh, God.
Did you just burp? Wheezing. And hello, everybody. Welcome back to Deadbeats. I'm Will.
I'm JT.
And we have a very special guest with us on today. His name is David Sodergren. You might know him as the author of books like Maggies Grave, Night Shoot, The Haar, Forgotten Island. I could go on and on and on. He has a new one coming out called Death Spell, and it's being released May 1st. The coolest thing that we heard about and he told us before the show, he's a fan of us.
Blew my mind. I love him so much.
Fucking out of control. We had so much fun recording this episode. All of his books are sold on Amazon. You can go on his website. We will link it into the description below. I will also put his Instagram in there as well. Again, this episode is with David Sodergren, the most awesome horror author.
He
is the most awesome horror writer and gifted and diverse. Maybe of all time that we love and we look up to, and he is our daddy. So with that being said, this is David Sodergren.
You don't keep me burping?
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Deadbeats. I'm Will.
I'm JT.
And today we have a really amazing guest that we've been looking forward to having on our show from the beginning of Deadbeats.
Say it.
We have David Sodergren here with us. David, how are you?
Hello. Thank you very much for having me. I feel great. I think we've been planning this for about 6 months or something.
A long time. Yeah.
Will kept messing it up. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know.
It's been a long time, but we're super happy and excited to actually have you. And so for me, because I get into my own head, Sodergren, right? Or is it Sodergren?
No, you're right the first time. It's
okay.
Sodergren.
That's what I thought.
I mean, technically, if you're going with the Swedish pronunciation, it's Sodergren, but I don't say that, so I don't expect anyone else to say that. I'm happy with Sodergren. Yeah.
Awesome. Perfect. You definitely can't expect him to say it like that at all.
I think he should try.
Try it. Go ahead.
Say it again.
Sodergren.
Sodergren.
All right. I mean,
Sodergren.
Yeah, we'll just stick with
That's
Sodergren.
it now. I'm saying it.
Let's stick with Sodergren. All right, cool. So, David, what we like to typically do with this, right? I just kind of want you to explain to the audience where you started, right, and how this all began. So, obviously, you're an author, you're self-published, right, and you do horror novels, but there's so many different types of subgenres that you write about within the horror realm. If you just want to kind of give them a head, I don't know, how it all started.
Yeah, I mean, crumbs. Yeah, I have been an absolute horror fanatic for probably 35 years or so,
Nice.
Even more than that. And I love it all. I love horror in all its forms, every single subgenre, every type, films, TV, music, decorations. We have our Halloween decor up all year round.
Love that.
I just love horror. I live for it, and I'd always wanted to make it. The films were probably my first love, so originally I wanted to make horror films, be a director and things like that. Mm-hmm. I used to make little sort of ones with my friends with a camcorder and stuff. We remade The Evil Dead as The Unholy Dead, things like that.
Nice.
Absolute garbage.
I love
went to film school and university and learned more there, but I also learned that I don't like working with other people.
Fair. Yep.
So it turned out that actually writing novels was the best way for me to actually get my ideas out there. I'd written stuff like as a kid, growing up. I did like Child's Play 3 I wrote, so that was before Child's Play 3 was out, so what, like 91 or something.
Do you still do that now though? Do you still, like, when you watch a good movie, do you still like, I could do a sequel to that, or I could make it better?
Sometimes, but I don't actually do it. What I would be more inclined to do nowadays would be if I see you get lots of really good ideas from watching bad films, and you'll see a scene and think, well, the idea's there. There's the germ of a good idea. They've completely messed it up and made it absolute garbage. But you could sort of take that idea and make it much better. Make it how it should be. So I do that sometimes with little things. I don't sort of think about doing sequels or anything stuff now because there'd be no points. You couldn't make any money off it. It would have to be just released for free.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was probably about 2016 or something when I started writing, with an actual view to properly writing novels. I wrote a couple before I did my first one, The Forgotten Island.
Yep.
And since then, I've just tried to work through every single horror subgenre there is out there, and there's still plenty to go. So.
Nice. So with that, so obviously Forgotten Island came out in 2018, and you said you wrote a couple of novels prior to until you decided to land on Forgotten Island and self-publish that and have that one go out. What was it about Forgotten Island where you're like, this is the one that I want to publish first?
Because the other two were shit.
Okay. It's fair.
They had good ideas, and actually, they will never ever be published because I've actually sort of cannibalized so much from them that all the good ideas from those first two books have turned up, bizarrely all in Carl John Lee books. So I write under a pseudonym as well, Carl John Lee.
Yep.
Pseudonym.
I said pseudonym. I fucking said pseudonym.
You did not say pseudonym.
I said pseudonym. Alias. I said no. Alias is the same thing.
It's a pseudonym.
Yeah.
He likes me.
I think Alias would be. Jeez, I don't know. Well, we'll go with both.
Okay. All right. Cool. We're both right. I love that.
Pseudonym. It sounds more professional. More literary. But like a whole chunks from my very first book, which I think was called the Cairngorm Horror.
Mm-hmm.
That's turned up in Cannibal Vengeance, the Carl John Lee book, and then I wrote one called Teenage Requiem, and masses of that turned up in Psychic Teenage Bloodbath. So
nice.
Holy shit! Yeah, and I didn't read the second one yet. Like I'm still processing the first one. Like holy shit.
The second one's a bit crazier, a bit more extreme. It's probably the most mad book I've done so far. It's like a time travel romance extreme horror. It's
because the ending of the first one was like it went crazy. So no spoilers.
So with that, and again, so the pseudonym Alias thing is still like I'm so interested in it, right? So what makes you decide to write specific books under that different pseudonym, under that different name, rather than under David Sodergren?
Originally, so I'd put out, I think about four novels, and they'd all been like quite well received. People liked them, and I was beginning to feel a bit of pressure. Like, people liked my other four books. Now I've really got to make this next one just as good and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's good in a way because it gives me a drive to constantly, not half-ass it and actually
for sure.
put in the work. But sometimes I just had these little ideas that were like, well, this, it's not necessarily worthy of me spending 6 months or a year or 18 months or something working on. So I would just, I wrote a couple of Carl John Lee's first, I think, 4 novels in about 5 days each.
Holy shit.
The very first one, I had the idea, and then 10 days later it was available to buy.
Oh wow!
It's mind blowing. Like I got it.
Holy, that's
So the very first one, Blood Beast Mutations, I had the idea. I wrote it in the next 5 days. I spent, I think, 2 days editing it. I painted the cover in a day, and then I uploaded it to Amazon, and it was available 10 days from the idea. It's not a great book, but it's quite good.
I haven't read a bad book from you, to be honest. So every time you're talking about this is shit or not good, I'm like, who are you talking about? Like, what do you mean?
I guess that can come from people who like specific types of subgenres, but I mean, if anybody is an all-around horror fan, then all of the other subgenres should be an enjoyable piece of content for them. So, but I also, even with that, I haven't seen a negative rating or comment about any of your stuff.
Yeah,
so you're crushing it on all like aspects.
They are out there.
And you turned me on to splatterpunk. Like I don't know if a lot of people know about splatterpunk. Have you? Like,
no,
Maggies Grave was a little bit of that, but whole subgenre in itself is crazy.
Oh, for sure.
Is that kind of what your upcoming book's about? Is that going to be in that same?
Yeah, it's so. I mean, there's a distinction people make between extreme horror and splatterpunk. So extreme horror would be more along the lines of. Now, I wasn't fully aware of this distinction when I first started writing as Carl John Lee, so I built them all as extreme horror, which I believe is more just like just shock for the sake of shock, just nasty violence and assault and things. Whereas splatterpunk has all those elements, but does it in a more sort of, I like to think of it as more punk rock in a way, because it's actually got something deeper to say, something, whether it's sort of satirical or, I mean, so I'd say that my stuff falls more into splatterpunk because it is still stories with characters that you hopefully root for and enjoy, and it's got some stuff to say, not a great deal amount of stuff, right. But it's I'd say it falls more in the splatterpunk sort of realm.
Okay. After you write these, right? So obviously they're pretty extreme. Do you like take a bath afterwards?
See, the thing is,
pervert over here. Sorry. Shit.
Well, you want to watch?
I mean, kind of. No.
Get off of me. Sorry.
See, when I'm writing these horrible things, I'm sitting there with a huge smile on my face and fucking away, because with one or two exceptions, most of my violence is just so outrageous and silly and over the top. I mean, it's, if I'm writing about, a witch bursting out of a woman giving birth to a fully grown witch, that can't happen. It's fun, and I'm like, I love this. And then people tell me how offended and shocked and appalled and horrified they were. I was like, oh, okay.
You're like, good, I did my job.
It's just so funny because you're writing and smiling, and we're both reading it and smiling and like talking, texting each other about it.
Sure. Speaking of that, right? So we're kind of getting right into Maggie's Grave, which is the first book that we were introduced when it came to you, right? So the reason why I started even reading that and kind of getting more into you as an author and a horror author, I saw a video online, and I'm sure you've seen it as well, where it's some guy who's just like, the most disturbing books I've ever read. And Maggie's Grave is on there, and it was the cover art, it was the title, and the way he explained it, I was like, I'm fucking sucked in immediately. I picked it up and read it without even realizing he was reading it also. So I never talked to him about it.
That's true.
Yeah, never talked to him about it. And he texted me one day. It was after I had finished reading it, and he goes, "Hey, have you read Maggie's Grave?" I was like, I literally just put the book down like yesterday. We talked about it through text for hours. And his wife was like, "You guys should start a podcast and talk about horror, the way that you guys like converse and how funny like our banter is." And that's literally where fucking Deadbeats started, was from Maggie's Grave.
I apologize to the world for that. Madness hath I wrought.
I love you so much.
Oh, that's super lovely to hear. Honestly, that's fantastic. Because all I want to do is I want people to enjoy the books. I want to introduce people to maybe types and genres and horror they've not necessarily encountered, and especially the films. Because all of my books, every single one of them, is heavily inspired by films and things.
Yes.
So if I can get people to just be really passionate and start a podcast or write a book and things. A lot of people message me and say, "Oh, you've made me want to write a story or a novel or something." That's so awesome.
Yeah, love that.
That's something else that we've been talking about as well.
Yeah, we're working on it.
We'll probably pick your brain offline if that's cool. But
of course.
Yeah, for sure. So, and even like reading, so obviously getting into that, like Maggie's Grave, just because it was the first one that I read, it's my absolute favorite. All the others I love as well. But with Maggie's Grave, I can't help but play a movie in my head every time I think about it. Has there ever been any talks or anything about putting that to film or something? Because that would be something I would fucking probably immediately love.
It needs to happen.
Yeah.
Is what we're saying.
Yeah.
I'll be the guy who gets his dick ripped off. It can be him.
I can't talk too much about film stuff, so
okay, all right, okay. Yep, got it.
Yes.
Got it.
I would love to see certainly Maggie's Grave on film. It's like literally this is not like a clue or something, but
Yeah, for sure.
Have you ever seen the film *Malignant*?
Yes.
I remember watching that and the police station scene towards the end.
Yep.
Just watching that and thinking, oh my god, that with the scene in the town hall.
Oh my god.
Oh come on, James Wan, just what could you do with that scene? Because I
What,
just felt like that was a real beautiful.
That fucking scene,
what was
dude.
the song that was playing again?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
It started off with James Blunt, "You're Beautiful," and then for the actual massacre, it was "You're the First, My Last, My Everything" by Barry White.
So in that book specifically, especially like just to try to immerse myself into it, also earlier in the book, "Beat It" was playing in the bowling alley.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I play the music that you mention in your books while I'm reading it to fucking be immersed in it. When I was like, "Wait, You're Beautiful" by James Blunt, I was like, "What is that?" And I played it while I was reading, and I was like, "This guy's a fucking nut job." What the fuck is happening?
When you share that with me,
so
I'm doing it too. So it's two maniacs like reading a book and just jamming out.
That makes me so happy because all I want, and I don't know how many people do this. I didn't think anyone did. I'm so glad. When I mention a song, that I am listening to that song while writing it, and I just want people to play that song at the same time as it's happening because it's designed to work with. I see all my books as like films as I'm writing them. So, and I consider the lighting and the soundtrack and stuff. So if there's music playing, please play that song.
I love that.
Let's face it, that scene works really nicely with
perfectly.
And it brings it to life when you put it actually another medium with it. Like it's just amazing how it just comes together. So yeah, I was.
What I've started to do nowadays on some of my newest books is I'm putting together my writing playlists on Spotify, and then sort of
nice.
Try to share them with people as well. So if you find me on Spotify, there's my Rotten Tommy writing playlist, my Summer of the Monsters,
going back in the day. Yeah, that's what's. Yes.
Oh man, I love that.
Oh, that's so cool that you do that.
I have to stop. Literally, I have to stop where I'm at. Like I'll fold a page. Like I'm a physical book reader just because I get like I don't know. There's some satisfaction of like beginning a book right and then finishing it. I'll fold the page where I'm at, play the song, and then get right back to it. It's cool. I've never done that before, but it really puts you're immersed into the story. I've never felt so like involved in a book or in any books for that matter than when I started doing that based off of what you're writing. It's just fucking awesome. It's fantastic.
And that's the big deal there because he doesn't read.
I don't read. Yeah. I didn't start reading. You were literally the first book that Maggie's Grave was the first book I picked up in probably since like fucking high school when you're forced to read books.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Was the video, was it by Brandon Baker by any chance? Do you know?
The video by, maybe. I think it might have been. Yeah, I'd have to go back and I can send it to you, but it might have been that. But it was like, he said the most disturbing books he's ever read. And I think one of your other ones was on there as well. I believe so.
I think it makes an appearance on there quite often if you keep going Maggie's Grave.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that'll be Brandon Baker, who has done more for my career than I ever have. With his TikTok videos, it was because of that. He introduced me to an awful lot of people that hadn't heard of me before, and it's that was really the sort of catalyst for me eventually managing to leave my job and write full time. So
nice.
I owe him a drink or a 3-course meal or something.
I love that.
But it's just so funny that you go from like Maggie's Grave, something that's really visceral and it gets him going. He loves that kind of stuff. But then you go to like the Haar. I said that right? The Haar.
The Haar.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I read that, and I'm more like invested in that type of material, like just seeing that love story of seeing her reconnect. I don't want to say too much, reconnect and not being fully a connection, but exploring that. And it's just, how do you switch gears, like from one book or one extreme to another? Like, let's calm down. And
I don't know, because the thing is, I actually write a whole bunch of books. I sort of hop back and forth between them at the same time. So I'm currently writing 3 at the same time. And so I've got to like not only go between genres and stuff, but at the moment I'm writing one that's set in America in the 1950s, one that's set in Italy in the late 19th century, and one that's set present day. So I've got to like jump between, right, okay, so I'm writing this one in American English with the correct sort of spelling and language, and then this one's being written in sort of old-fashioned sort of British English, but 19th century, so keeping sort of dialogue relevant to the time period. So I'm not going to use the word okay, because that didn't come into relevance until like the 1870s or something like that. So yeah, I don't know. I just like I say, I just love horror so much that I can go from a romantic sort of sweet one to some sort of obscene body horror type thing. And it's just I just sort of go with whatever I'm really feeling at that time at the moment. The Haar is definitely my most popular book by far, by a long shot. That, then Maggie's Grave, probably. And yeah, I think the sort of love aspect of that really resonated with people, because it's a romance. It is a straight up romance novel. That has dissolving penises in it.
That was in the bath. Yeah, that was a good.
Yeah.
That kid had it coming.
Something for everyone.
He's a piece of shit. Sorry. Speaking of the American one, could you make a cameo of Will and JT? Can we appear in the book? Can we be like two little, maybe not even American? Maybe we could come over as two idiot Americans stumbling around, Scotland.
He said this from day one. He's like, I want to be in his books.
We don't have to be main characters,
I'm sure there's something we can arrange.
Okay. That sounds great.
Okay, I'm done now. That's what I got it. No, I'm just kidding.
How do you like, there has to be a level of like a writer's block with that, right? You're trying to go back and forth to 3 different stories. So there's this kind of like a 2-part question. Do you already have like these specific stories and books planned out? Are you kind of writing as you go? And with that, what type of writer's block do you hit?
Well, the good thing is, if you're writing 3 at a time, then you aren't so likely to get writer's block, because if I get stuck on one, I can just jump onto the other one and go from there. However, what I generally do, so with the books I write under my own name, I heavily outline. So I do a sort of chapter by chapter breakdown of the entire book, start to finish, before I begin writing. Kind of like a really, really basic first draft, because it still has thousands and thousands of words, but with little snatches of dialogue here and there, I think, I have to put that bit in. But it just means that by having that, I at least know where I should be going next, and also how I'm going to get there. Because generally, if you just sit down and start to write a book, I find personally that it all goes fine right up till the end of like Act 2, and just when you're building up to Act 3 and the climax and stuff, and you know what it's going to be, but you've got to get everything into place. You've got to get all these characters. Why are they here now? How have they gotten here? What's happening? That's where I tend to trip myself up a bit. So if I can figure that all out beforehand, then by the time I actually come to write the book, it's and the thing is, it still totally changes as you're writing it. It sounds mad, but sometimes you sort of lose control of your own book and you accidentally kill a character that you didn't expect to. And you're you're just going and going, and that happens, and then you have to sort of think, well, okay, I look at my outline and try and figure out what the hell I'm going to do now. But generally, I find that outlining works best for me. I know, like, say, Stephen King, for example, says you should never outline. He does everything.
He hates Stephen King.
I know. I realized as I said that, I was like, I shouldn't have brought that up.
You're going to get him fucking started.
I can't stand Stephen King. He's got some good ones, like Pet Sematary was a great book.
Yeah, of course.
That's about it.
That's it. That's all.
That's it. Okay. Right.
He's got some good ones. But who do you like to read in your spare time? Who inspires you?
My biggest inspiration, actually, well, other than Stephen King, who was, but there's an English author. So I'm Scottish. He's just down a wee bit south in England. There's an English author called Sean Hutz, not Irish. I should say.
This motherfucker.
I think you mentioned I was on the Mason episode, was it?
Oh my God! You even know the episode?
Yeah. I made a mental note. I don't forget. I hold it with me.
Fuck!
Right.
Everybody, he's Scottish, okay? He's fucking Scottish. Sorry.
So there's an English author called Sean Hudson, who you've possibly not heard of him, but he's had one of his books adapted as a film. It was Slugs in the 80s, about
slugs,
rampaging slugs. It was an absolute shit show, a dreadful film. A lot of fun, but his books are actually really good, and they're really, like, because I'd read, like, Stephen King and things, and it didn't, if I loved it, but it felt totally alien to me in a way.
Right.
It's like, whereas this really spoke to me in a sort of, oh, right, British people can write miserable, rainy, grotty, sleazy horror books as well. And that's what Sean Hudson excelled at. Just like
nice,
super nasty. I picked up one in a charity shop, like a thrift store.
Okay.
When I was about 8 or something like that, called Spawn, which is about aborted fetuses that come to life. And to go on around, it's just like, this is
what?
This book is, I probably shouldn't have read it at age 8. It was
that's a book I'd read. I'd really like to read that.
Aborted fetuses.
You step on them. Jesus.
Get a mop stick, like,
get a mop.
Get out of here, fetuses. Get start poking them around.
And that was the climax. Yeah, absolutely.
8 years old.
Yeah, that's fucking insane. So you mentioned obviously having inspiration from like other authors and stuff. What are some, like, and we also mentioned earlier about like some movies that obviously your books are heavily inspired by. What are some of the movies that you grew up on that are some of like the biggest inspirations for these books that you're writing?
Well, I mean, crumbs. Where to even start? I did start watching horror films extremely young. My earliest memories are of watching things like the old 1950s Jack Arnold film, like Tarantula and stuff like that. Even the 30s King Kong. They used to play on TV during the afternoon before I went to school, so I remember like watching those. And then about age 10 or 12 or around then, I started, like, there was a magazine called The Dark Side in the UK that introduced me to like Italian horror and Japanese and Hong Kong horror and stuff. And they used to have adverts in the back where you could send off for lists of bootleg videos, and you could buy bootleg videos. Because in the UK in like the 80s and 90s, half the stuff that you can see now was banned or like really, really heavily cut, so we couldn't see. Texas Chainsaw Massacre was banned, The Exorcist was banned. We had the whole Video Nasties fiasco that, so all the films were horribly cut and stuff. Yeah. So I would import from there. I'd got like the uncut Dawn of the Dead and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Oh shit!
They had like Dutch subtitles and they were flickered into black and white, and terrible tracking problems and stuff. Young people these days won't know what any of that means. Video was an imperfect medium, but it did allow me to see all these films, and just a combination of all of that over the years has fucked my brain up. Really.
That started with aborted fetuses.
Yeah, seriously.
So I mean, like Forgotten Island, for example, that was a combination of Italian cannibal films like Cannibal Holocaust, Cannibal Ferox and stuff, but also hints of H.P. Lovecraft's writing. Night Shoot was a straight up slasher. Dead Girl Blues was based on Giallo, which is the Italian sort of sexy murder mysteries and things. Maggie's Grave had folk horror. I did some like biker exploitation stuff. It all. Yeah, I just love horror, man.
He's pulling from all of it. Yeah, I love that.
And I've seen in the past where you don't like possession. Like that's not really something you enjoy or something that you're not really interested in. Is that like the only thing, or has that changed?
Yeah, no, it's just, I think there's some amazing stuff you could do with that. And I've seen some things where I'm like, okay, yeah, they did it pretty well. What I don't like is that sort of priests exorcising someone, and when the climax of a film is priests standing holding crosses saying the power of Christ compels you, like, that's not interesting. It's boring. Give me something cool. Yeah, I am actually planning my own sort of possession story, because I'm like, I want to do one that I would want to read or that I
Oh
would want
yeah,
to
for
see.
And
sure.
that's what I was going to ask, like, because you could turn that scene, I can just imagine it. Whatever happens, like the final scene, it's going to be just nasty and gory and just the most disturbing shit you could ever think of.
I
Am I
always
right?
it has to be right.
Yeah, no, it's teed up for you. It's
Yo,
like,
yeah, it's a easy layup for sure. I'd like to think, right? Because even when I'm watching like possession movies or something, in my head, I'm like, there's no water or cross or person that could stop a fucking demon. To me, in my head, I'm like, in reality, I'm like, hey, if there's a demon over here, like they're gonna fuck everybody up. They're like, I feel like I get like they have to have some sort of power of Christ. There has to be good versus evil, right? So there has to be that balance there. But I'm like, for me, I'm sure you might have heard or seen, I love when everybody dies. Huge fan of fucking no happy endings. I
that's
want
how
to
he talks. He's just a miserable bastard.
It's a monster.
I get so much excitement out of that because it's not the norm.
Yeah.
Normally, the good people live, the good people prevail. What was there was a newer movie. It was remade. Speak No Evil. Did you see? There was a the
Yeah.
original. What was
Spoilers
the
incoming
original?
by the sounds of it, people.
Yeah, yeah. There was definitely spoiler in the original. Everybody goes. Everybody's
Why you gotta
dead.
whisper that?
I don't. I'm sorry, but I love that. I was like, this movie is a fucking 10 because of that. But then the remake, the American version, the Western version, it's like there's a happy ending, and it's not happy to me. I don't like it. Sorry. That's my
I've only seen the remake. Actually, I never saw it
really.
because I find Home Invasion to be, though it's not a subgenre I dislike or anything. It's the one that gets to me the most. I feel like so stressed and upset.
It's too real. Yeah.
When people come in and just torture someone, I really hate it, and that's why I didn't see the original Speak No Evil, because I was like, oh, it just sounds so miserable. I did see the remake, and I actually really liked it, but I then went and read what the end of the original was, and I thought, oh shit, yeah, that's much better.
Yeah.
Try to be happy.
But the actor in the new one, I forgive me, I forget his name right now, but it's absolutely fantastic.
Oh, James McAvoy.
Yes, there it is, James McAvoy.
I think he's Scottish, isn't he?
He is,
Or
yeah.
Irish, whatever.
Or Will. He doesn't know.
Doesn't matter.
Same thing.
Sorry, David. It's usually me. Forgive me.
It is, yeah. I'm the JT in this one.
But I can't wait to see. Like, I can just tell, like, something with that scene in your mind and your playground with it. Yeah. It's going to be. I don't want to put too much pressure on you, but it's going to be amazing.
I did actually see one Exorcist film that I really liked recently. And part of it was because they actually managed to do a character who was a priest, who was an exorcist, who was brilliantly fun and entertaining. It was the Pope's Exorcist with Russell Crowe.
Exorcist, no,
not necessarily an amazing film, but I loved it. It was so much fun because he's like this really surly priest who carries a shotgun. He drives around Rome on a Vespa, and then at the end, it's like, spoilerish free, you've just got like nude demon women bursting into explosions of blood in this underground cavern. I'm like, you've got it. You've nailed it, guys.
I love that.
Not to be confused with The Exorcism, which also stars Russell Crowe, which is a big bag of shite. But the Pope's Exorcist, fantastic.
Nice. I love that. There's another one that I saw that not a lot of people have seen. It's called The Possession of Michael King. And that one takes a completely different turn where he does everything he can to be possessed because his wife that had passed away always believed in that. And he always like kind of not made fun of her, but was always against the grain in all of her beliefs. So after she had went on, he said the only way to kind of give her soul peace was to prove that she was wrong, which is kind of like a fucked up thing to do. But he did everything he possibly could to be possessed. And it's like a movie that's pure, like, fuck around and find out. And that was great.
That is fucking around for that. Yeah. Like, you get what you deserve for that one. Man.
Yeah, for sure.
Shit. That's you. That would be him in that movie.
That's fair. Yeah, it is.
What would you ever do, or some of our favorite movies? I mean, you probably heard us kind of talk about, like, I don't know if you heard us, but Will likes Scream and he hates everything like sci-fi because I'm a big fan of The Thing and Alien. Have you ever thought about exploring that space? Like outspace, or maybe like a whodunit to the extreme.
Yes, I am in the early stages of working on a sci-fi outer space sort of deep space horror. The problem is it's really difficult because every idea I come up with an idea and then I think, oh wait, no, that's just the plot of Alien.
It's been done
Like,
before. Yeah.
every single thing, and not even just done before, it's just done by Alien.
Yeah. Oh shit.
It's so hard to step out of the shadow of that because Alien is a perfect film. There's literally not one single thing about that I would change. Is he disagreeing with me or agreeing?
Yes, he is. Yes, he thinks Alien and Aliens both suck.
I don't like him. I didn't.
It's incredible. What are you fucking talking about? Tell me, are you hearing this? That's what I do. He's on a horror podcast with me.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need a new co-host. No, that genuinely is insane.
All right, sorry.
But yeah, I don't know how to come back from that. Basically, I am working on a deep space horror. It's a wee while away, but
I promise I'll read it and I'll love it. I promise you I'll love it.
He won't read it.
It's gonna be. He's gonna add us into the book, and you're gonna fucking Liv is gonna shoot me into space.
Hey, chapter 2.
Chapter 2.
Chapter 2, he steps into the decompression chamber, the door closes, he's hammering, he's crying, begging for his life to explode.
And the only thing you see floating around is his mustache. The circle is just
so fucking dumb, dude.
And it's over the end credits plays, and you just see this little mustache. Beautiful. What was the other part? Oh, you wondered if I was doing a sort of Scream type, sort of murder mystery type thing.
A whodunit.
Yeah.
Have you read my book, Dead Girl Blues?
I have not.
I have it upstairs. I haven't even started yet, but I knew that was there
you go.
More of a whodunit.
Yeah. So it's kind of based on the Giallo films of Italy of the sort of 60s and 70s, which were my problem with that book marketing it was I based a book on the Giallo films, and then it turns out that a lot of people haven't heard of that and don't know what it is. So I had to sort of create my own pretend genre for it. I called it a slasher noir. So that it is a slasher, people getting stabbed up, cut up, and things like that. But the focus is equally on the actual mystery element, the
detective element. Yep.
Cause, I'm sure there are some slashers out there that have that whodunit element. The Friday the 13th is that's a cheat. The character doesn't appear until 70 minutes into the film. But something like Happy Birthday to Me or does have that element. So it's I would say that would be one that you might enjoy. It's pretty nasty.
Oh, okay. I'm add it to my list then.
Yeah. So when it comes to like horror, right, and also we talked about what your inspiration was. Do you prefer, and I guess to us, right, it's more foreign horror, right? So anything else over the pond where it's created, like Italian horror or anything that's kind of bred in the UK, or are you more of like a Western fan that things that have been created here in America?
I love it both actually. So nice. I'd say if you put a gun to my head and said I could only watch the horror films of one country, I would probably go for Italy. Like I'm pretty much obsessed.
Nice.
I'm going to Rome in a couple of weeks. I've been learning Italian for years. I just Dario Argento, Lucio Fulci, Sergio Martino, all these names, Michele Soavi, Umberto Lenzi, like they're just the absolute greatest of all time for me. But I absolutely love horror from sort of America as well. It's not just like United States, but I love Canadian horror, Mexican horror. There's some amazing Mexican horror out there. Brazil has Coffin Joe and stuff. There's all across the world. I just love it. Hong Kong has some amazing horror. Japan has some of the best horror of all time. Like just going right back to like the 60s onwards. It's just some of their stuff from the 60s are genuinely terrifying.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So with that, you have a new book coming out. Definitely want to talk about that a little bit, right? Yeah. And obviously as much as you can talk about without spoiling too much, right, before it officially releases in April?
May
May.
1st.
Damn,
Yeah.
I get that wrong every
Almost
time.
April.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, it's almost
Literally
April.
the day after April.
Yeah, but called Death Spell, right?
Death Spell. That is correct. Yeah. So I just announced it a few days ago.
Cover art looks fantastic, by the way.
Yes, the
Is
cover
this the
art
same
is.
illustrator that you use with all of your books?
No, this is a new guy. Now
I thought so.
he's Polish, and he mostly does covers for death metal bands. Now I did check with a Polish friend how to pronounce his name, so they told me about. The problem is I had this covered on about a year ago. I believe it's Maciek Komuda.
Okay. Is he
And
Polish or is he Irish? Which one is it?
Polish.
Yeah, okay. Just want to make sure.
Yeah, he'd actually messaged me. So sometimes people message me and say, "Hey, I'd love to do a cover. I'm a big fan, and if I'll take a look at their work, and if I like it, I will add it to my big list of potential cover artists."
Nice.
And basically, when I have a new book coming out, I'll look at that and be like, "Oh, okay, so who would be the right person for this job?" And for this book, I thought, yeah, Magic. It's got to be him because his work is incredible. It's such a cool cover, and the great thing is the cover that I gave him like sort of like, this is what I want. He came back with all these amazing designs, and we chose one. But the cover he gave me was so good that it actually inspired me to go back and change the book slightly based on something that had been on his cover.
Wow.
Like, yeah, you've actually inspired me to do more of this sort of thing. The book itself is it's once again, so I did a book based on the Italian giallo. Now I'm doing a book based on the Shaw Brothers black magic films of the 1970s. Have you heard of them at all?
Yes, I have.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah. Good. So Shaw Brothers were a Hong Kong film studio who were most famous, and still are very, very famous, for their martial arts, kung fu, swordplay, wuxia films. Absolutely incredible. They were among the greatest to ever do it. But they also did loads of like really awesome exploitation, horror, sleaze, like sex comedies. They did everything.
Yeah.
And in about 1975, a guy called Ho Ming Hua made a film called Black Magic, which is just this revolting, goopy, slimy, blood-drenched story of like rich assholes casting spells that go horribly wrong. There's worms, there's centipedes, there's blood and slime and ooze. They're amazing films. That was a hit. It inspired a whole bunch of them from Hong Kong and Indonesia. I love them. They're slightly problematic nowadays. I've tried to do it's like the Italian cannibal films. Is like loads of them have like real animal violence and stuff. It's horrible. You don't want to see it, but it's there. It happened. The films out with that are fantastic. So I've tried to do a sort of slightly more modernish update of that. So just it's my most violent, horrible, disgusting, gross book ever. It's so really brutal. But it's also, it's another one where it's mostly really good fun, I think. It's really outrageous. There's a satirical edge to parts of it. Tongue almost in cheek, but the horror is still played straight. I'm really excited about that one because people kept describing my books as extreme or splatterpunk, and I was like, are they? I don't think they are. Maybe I'm just completely fucked. I thought, well, what if I did do one that was extreme, that was splatterpunk? Let's see what that would be like. So that's what was the sort of impetus for this book.
Holy shit!
I'm so excited.
What can you give an insight of like what you were listening to while you was writing this one, or will that give too much stuff away?
No, well, it's the first book I think I've done where I've not put my writing playlist at the end because I didn't really have a specific one. Like, it was just different chapters were different things. So for the scene set in Thailand, I was listening to 70s Thai funk.
Wow.
And then I was listening to sort of death metal and really crushing, depressing doom metal for some stuff. And then I was listening to Japanese pop music from the 80s for other bits. There was nothing that really... It was one that I managed to write where the soundtrack wasn't as important, which is very unusual for me because usually I create before I start a book I do a sort of 8, 10, 12 hour playlist that I know is going to be my sort of writing playlist for that book, but this one didn't have.
I don't know why that keeps happening. I don't want. Sorry,
there was a strange little bubble.
It keeps, it's your finger. Get your hands out of it. It's like it senses it's a thumbs up, and that's it puts it on the screen. And in the beginning, he thought that we were getting possessed.
I did not.
You did. You fucking
shaming me in front of him.
Yeah, it doesn't happen to you. I don't know why.
No.
Maybe we are getting possessed.
No, I love you. We're best friends.
We're not. Okay, that's fucking great. Stop. We have a guest.
We're best friends. I like that. I like how you talk about how you're best friends a lot. I think it's a nice thing.
Thank you.
Stupid. He gets it.
When I forget, we talked about something. I think it was you, and I'm the one that runs the Instagram page and all of our social media. When you said that you actually listened to us, right? We were fucking floored because we're like, why would anybody listen to us?
I'm sure you'd sent me a nice thing, like saying you like my books or something, and you're doing a podcast. So I thought, well, I'll listen to the first episode, if it's good, I can shout out or something. And I really enjoyed it. So
nice. Heck yeah.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, your opinions are insane sometimes, but
is there my opinions or his?
Well, quite often, JT, it's with the problem with you, but I mean, you have the most egregious, shocking opinion I've ever heard. Not on Alien, something far worse.
What is it?
You said that Grease 2 is better than Grease.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Over here.
It is.
We have been battling ever since I met him about this, and he does his Zuko impression to like throw me off. Like he needs.
Hey, I'm in a car. Hey. That was, I think that was the Carrie episode. I brought that up. It is. The music is so much better. I will die on that anthill.
Now, I give you reproduction. I know this is a horror podcast. I promise we won't dwell on this for too long. Reproduction is a good song. That's fun. I like that one. Love Will Turn Back the Hands of Time. Yeah, that's an absolute banger.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah. Everything else, what the fuck?
No, like in the bowling alley, like
that's the problem, isn't it? Because like Grease, all the songs, they tell you about the characters, they drive the story forwards. It's great. Yeah. Grease 2, it's like they're at a bowling alley. Do a song about bowling. Yeah, move on. Next, like
we're gonna score. It's so good. I fucking love it.
Don't ever look me in the eyes and sing that to me. I mean, you can. I really appreciate it. Actually, you show me any bit of attention and affection. Why am I fighting it?
Yeah, don't fight it. Oh man, I love that.
Shit. You are a great human being. Like,
yeah, you are fantastic.
I'm so glad that you did this. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I mean, like, one, for just putting out all your books and just sharing that creativity with us and with the rest of the world. I really mean that when I say that. We find so much joy together just talking about it. We'll stop chapters and we reread it, and we're, like you said, like put on music and like, you got to listen to it with the music on. I'm like, okay, I guess. Yeah. It was right.
Did you hear the last thing we said about you in our last episode? He started it.
What?
Oh, no, I think I did. No, is this, no.
Called you daddy?
Yeah, you're going to call me daddy. Yeah.
It said you birthed us?
Yes.
We came out of David.
I stand by it.
I was hoping that wouldn't come up.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I stand by what I said.
But it's in a weird fucking way. It's true. So we want to go ahead.
No, just the patriarch of Deadbeats.
You are. I
prefer that to Daddy.
We'll table that. But I mean, Daddy David.
Daddy David. He's never going to come back.
Wait.
Yeah. We want to thank you, dude, so much for your inspiration, right, and for the content that you put out, for the books that you have. We know that before you even started writing the books, right, before you started putting them out, especially in 2018 for your first one, Forgotten Island, it started up just you had just a bookstagram, right? You were just kind of posting stuff on Instagram that kind of garnered a following that kind of took off. And then you started putting your books out that eventually it just kind of skyrocketed. I'm so happy with how your work has come out, especially being self-published, which is a fuck ton of work. That's a lot of work.
It is. And I recommend it for some people, but it just it just so happens, thankfully, that I enjoy writing. I enjoy editing. I enjoy, coming up with the covers, commissioning the artwork, actually designing the covers and stuff now I do myself. The marketing, nobody really enjoys that. But luckily, lots of people share my stuff on Instagram now, so they basically market for me. So I'm very, very pleased with word of mouth. And anytime anyone likes a book and they share it on Instagram, thank you.
It's free advertisement for sure.
It really does help. Yeah, because self-publishing, we can't afford advertising.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
You've got to spend like 10 grand to be seen on Amazon or something. Like, who
That's
the fuck
crazy.
is that, man? Not me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I absolutely love self-publishing because I like complete control. I am a total control freak, and I have worked with other people in various capacities, and it never works for me because I just want to do my thing.
For sure. Absolutely. There's definitely one thing I kind of wanted to bring up before we end this, right? And I would be absolutely remiss if we didn't mention Boris. You bring him in every single story that you have. Obviously, that's where Paperbacks and Pugs comes from. Where is he now? Can we see him?
I wouldn't.
It's okay.
It's
okay.
He's got. I've given him his special chew toys. Boris is my pug. He gets he's learned, unfortunately, that I want peace and quiet when I'm doing like an interview or something, or any sort of Zoom talk or any sort of like meeting, and he knows that as soon as I bring the laptop through I'm in my wife's sewing room at the moment. She's like,
gotcha.
As soon as I come through here with the laptop, he starts barking until I give him his special chew toy. I can go and see if he's available.
If it's too much work, we won't make you do it. Just give him hugs and kisses for us.
Let's count for the people that are listening. How many times Will has fucked up during this interview? You were just terrible today with this. Wait,
what?
Daddy, our patriarch.
Daddy,
you're fucking terrible, dude. Just remember, if you do put us in one of your books, just cameos, kill him violently. Like it's got to be something like.
I want to get skinned. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
well, he's already said they like stories where everybody dies, so I can't put you in and not kill you.
That's true. That's so true.
If I die, I gotta die like saving somebody. I'm more heroic than sweetheart. His come up.
You should get killed by something that just like by nature, like a tree should just fall on you.
In the summer, a slasher alien movie, and I slip on a puddle. And I'm out.
So silly. David, thank you so much for coming on. This has been a super long time coming. You are our
daddy.
You birthed us. If you're listening, please follow David on Instagram. He's Paperbacks and Pugs on Instagram. He also has his own website, which is davidsodergren.com, which is awesome. And that's where you can get all the information on his books and all that stuff. And everything's there on Instagram as well. Please follow him. Please check him out. Death Spell's coming out May 1st.
That's it.
Not March or April, but May 1st. And that was David Sodergren. David, thank you so much. This was an absolute pleasure.
Well, thank you. Honestly, it's been lovely. Because honestly, fan of the show, have been listening, and yeah, it's just great to come on, and you guys seem to be going from strength to strength. I'm so pleased because it's so many podcasts are terrible, whereas you guys have like a real, you can tell it's like a lifelong friendship and stuff, and it really comes across in the podcast. And yeah, it's just a pleasure to listen to, and an absolute pleasure to be on, and happy to come back.
Awesome, for sure. Yeah, we look forward to that. Thank you so much, David. We're going to end it now. Thank you again. JT, what do you got for him to close it out?
Nothing. Just appreciate everything you do. I can't wait to see you again. I'm going to hold you to it.
All right, you hold him to it. All right, awesome. Thank you, David.